This is an inspiring, true story and perfect English listening practice at the same time. It is spoken slowly and clearly for you. Part 1. The Garage. The garage is cold. Not cold in the way of winter, cold in the way of a room that does not know yet what it is going to become. There is a door that does not close properly. There is a wooden desk, not a real desk, just a door laid flat across two sawhorses, because a real desk costs money, and money is the one thing he does not have in large supply right now. There is a computer. There is a phone. There are boxes of books stacked against the wall, because right now, books are the product. Books are everything. His wife is in the other room. She has left a good job to be here. She believes in this. She married a man who quit a very well-paying career on Wall Street to drive across the country with no clear destination and start a company inside a garage in Bellevue, Washington. She has not asked him what happens if it fails. She has already decided that question is less interesting than what happens if it works. His name is Jeff Bezos. The year is 1994. The internet is new. Not new in the way we say things are new now. Not new version or new update. Genuinely, historically new. Most people have never used it. Most people do not know what it is. The newspapers are writing about it as if it might be a passing trend, the way they once wrote about the fax machine. But Jeff has seen the numbers, and the numbers have changed everything about what he believes is possible. Outside, nobody is writing the story of Jeff Bezos. There is no story yet. There is just a man in a cold garage, packing books into boxes, driving them to the post office himself, coming home and doing it again. There is no story. And then there is. Part 2. The Boy on the Ranch. But to understand how that story begins, we need to go back further. Not to Wall Street, not to Princeton. We need to go back to a small town in Texas, to a cattle ranch under an enormous sky, and to a boy who could not stop taking things apart, even when he had no idea how to put them back together. Cotulla, Texas, 1970. Jeff Bezos is 6 years old. His mother, Jacqueline, is 16 years old when Jeff is born. His biological father will leave the family when Jeff is 3 years old. He will spend the rest of his life, for the most part, not knowing his son at all. Jeff does not grow up defined by this absence. He grows up defined by something else entirely, by a grandfather named Lawrence Preston Geese, who everyone calls Pop, and who owns a large ranch in Cotulla, Texas. Pop believes completely and without reservation that the best education a child can receive is being given a hard problem and being left alone to solve it. Pop is a man of unusual breadth. He worked for the United States Atomic Energy Commission. He helped build early technology infrastructure for the country. He is a man who understands that the most important skill a person can develop is the willingness to figure things out for themselves. Every summer, Jeff goes to the ranch. On the ranch, there are no video games. There is no television to speak of. There is work. There is land, there are broken machines that need to be fixed, and fences that need to be repaired. And there is Pop, who does not solve the problems for Jeff. Pop shows Jeff where the problem is, hands him the tools, and says, figure it out. Jeff fixes things. He builds things. He dismantles things he probably should not have dismantled. He learns through direct contact with physical reality that the gap between "I do not know how to do this" and "I know how to do this" is almost always smaller than it looks from the outside. The gap is crossed by beginning, by trying, by being willing to look confused and wrong and uncertain until you are no longer any of those things. This is not a small thing to learn at 7 years old. This is not a small thing to learn at any age. He falls in love with space, not as a poster on a wall, as a genuine, technical, intellectual obsession. He reads about NASA. He reads about rocket propulsion. He reads science fiction with the same intensity other children bring to sports results. He wants to understand how the universe works, the actual mechanics of it, not just the wonder of it. At Princeton, he studies electrical engineering and computer science. He is excellent. He is meticulous. He is the kind of student who asks questions that make professors stop and reconsider their own notes. He graduates near the top of his class.
And then he goes to Wall Street. Not because it is his passion, because it is where the mathematics lives, where the most complex, highest stakes decision-making happens under the most pressure and at the most speed. He wants to understand how large systems function, how capital, that means money as a tool, moves through the world and what it builds and destroys. By his early 30s, he is a senior vice president at one of the most sophisticated investment firms in the world. His salary is large, his future is clear. And then, a number. A single statistic, read in a research report on a Tuesday afternoon in 1994. The Internet is growing at 2,300% per year. Not 200%, not 500%, 2,300%. Jeff reads this number. He stops. He reads it again. He sits with it for a long time. He is, at his core, a man who responds to data. He does not lead with emotion. He leads with information. And this information is saying something his entire analytical mind cannot ignore. Something enormous is about to happen, and the people who are positioned at the beginning of it will have an advantage that cannot be replicated later. You cannot go back and be early. You can only be early once. He makes a list. He writes down the 20 product categories most likely to succeed as the first things sold online. Books are number one. Not because books are his passion, because books have an almost perfect set of properties for online commerce. There are millions of titles. No physical bookstore can stock them all. They are easy to ship. They do not spoil, and they are uniform. A copy of a book is the same everywhere in the world. He goes to his boss and explains what he wants to do. His boss listens carefully. He says, "Jeff, this is a good idea, but it is a much better idea for someone who does not already have a good career. You have a great career. The people who should start risky internet companies are the people who have less to lose." Jeff asks for time to think about it. He invents a rule that he will later call the regret minimization framework. It works like this. Imagine yourself at 80 years old, looking back at your life. Which decision will you regret more? Trying and failing, or never trying at all? The answer is obvious. He goes home. He tells his wife, Mackenzie. She says, "I am in." She does not ask him whether it will work. She already knows that whether is the wrong question. They get in a car and drive from New York to Seattle. Mackenzie drives. Jeff sits in the passenger seat with a laptop, writing the business plan. This is not a metaphor. This is what actually happened. They arrive in Seattle. They find a house in Bellevue. They turn the garage into an office. Jeff buys a wooden door and lays it across two sawhorses because a real desk costs money he does not want to spend on furniture when the money should go into the company. He names the company Amazon, after the largest river in the world, because he wants the company to be the largest of its kind in the world. He is not being poetic, he is being precise. By July 1995, Amazon opens. In the first month, without any marketing, without any advertising, orders come from all 50 American states and 45 countries. Jeff is stunned. The thing he expected to be gradual is already fast. Jeff is packing every order himself. He is on his hands and knees on the concrete floor, leaning over books, packaging them. Then he straightens up and tells his colleague that they really need to buy knee pads. His colleague looks at him and says, "Or we could just buy packing tables." Jeff stops, laughs. This is one of the first operational lessons he will later say changed his thinking. You cannot see the solution clearly when you are inside the problem. You need to be willing to hear the obvious thing said out loud by someone who is not inside your own head. They buy packing tables. Within weeks, the company is shipping books every day. Jeff is driving them to the post office himself in his car. He tells a journalist in that first year that Amazon's goal is to be the world's most customer-centric company. The journalist writes it down politely. The journalist does not know yet what the word most is going to mean in practice. By 1997, Amazon goes public. That means it offers shares of itself for sale to ordinary investors for the first time. The company raises $54 million. It is still losing money. It has never made a profit, but it is growing at a speed that financial analysts find difficult to explain. Jeff writes a letter to shareholders and says something that most CEOs would never say publicly. He says, "We are going to keep losing money for years. We are going to keep investing in growth. We are playing a much longer game than you may be used to." Some investors sell immediately. Others read it again slowly.
Part 6. The Crash. 1999. Amazon is no longer just books. It is music, movies, electronics. The warehouses, that means the large buildings where products are stored before being shipped, are growing faster than the team knows how to manage them. And then the world turns. The dot-com crash arrives in 2000 with the kind of violence that rewrites whole industries in a matter of months. The Internet, which had been treated by financial markets as a guaranteed gold mine, suddenly looks like a disaster. Companies that had raised hundreds of millions of dollars disappear almost overnight. Amazon's stock price falls from $113 per share to just over $6. $6. 94% gone. Analysts write that Amazon will not survive. They write that the company has expanded too fast, built too many warehouses, hired too many people, and bet too heavily on a model the market has now rejected.
The headline is ready: the story of how Amazon failed. Inside the company, something is happening that the analysts cannot see from the outside. Jeff is not retreating. He is not cutting everything to survive. He is cutting the things that do not matter and protecting the things that do. He is insisting, in meetings where other people are talking about survival, on talking about the 10-year plan. His executives, some of them, think he is not being realistic about the severity of the moment. He is being more realistic than any of them. He just sees a different reality. Part 7. The Long Game. In 2001, Amazon posts its first profit, a small one, 4.5 cents per share. It is not a large number, but it is a real number. It proves that the model works, that a company can build enormous infrastructure, lose money doing it, and eventually reach the scale at which the economics become favorable. He was right about the long game. He was also right about something almost no one could see in 2001. Amazon was not a bookstore with a website. It was not even an online retailer. It was a logistics and technology company that happened to sell consumer goods. The infrastructure it was building, the warehouses, the software, the delivery systems, was the asset. The products were almost incidental. In 2006, Amazon launches a service called Amazon Web Services, AWS. It allows other companies to rent Amazon's computing infrastructure over the internet. This is not a natural extension of an online bookstore. This is not what anyone expected from a company known for selling books and DVDs. Today, AWS generates more profit for Amazon than all of Amazon's retail operations combined. It is the backbone of a significant portion of the modern internet. Thousands of companies, including some of the most valuable in the world, run on infrastructure that Jeff Bezos began building because Amazon needed it for itself, and then realized others did too. He did not tell anyone this was coming. He barely told his own board. He saw what the data suggested. He built it anyway. Part 8. The Hidden Cost. Here is the part that the celebration stories almost always leave out. Amazon's rise did not happen without cost to the people who built it. Inside Amazon, the culture that Jeff created was, by the accounts of many people who lived inside it, genuinely extraordinary in some ways and genuinely brutal in others. The standards were not just high, they were designed to be unreachable. The internal motto was work hard, have fun, make history. The reality for many employees included regular 18-hour days, performance management systems that ranked employees against each other and removed those at the bottom, and a leadership style that used sharp, direct correction in front of a room full of colleagues as a standard tool. Bezos believed that comfort was the enemy of invention. He believed that a culture that protected feelings over truth would eventually stop telling the truth, and a company that stops hearing the truth stops being able to see what is coming. He may have been correct about all of this in a technical sense. There are also people who worked at Amazon during its growth years who describe mental and physical exhaustion of a kind they have never experienced anywhere else, who describe choosing between their health and their job, and choosing their job because they felt they could not stop, who describe a system that was not interested in them as people, only in what they could produce. Amazon built something extraordinary. The people who built it paid a price. Whether those two things are separable, whether the extraordinary thing could have been built without the price, is a question that does not have a clean answer. Jeff Bezos would say that he built a place where the best people in the world could do the best work of their lives, and that the discomfort was part of what made it possible. His critics would say that there is a difference between high standards and treating human beings as instruments, and that a man who noticed the gap and did not close it made a choice about what mattered more. Both things might be true at the same time. That's why this story is worth telling.
Part 9. The Lesson. Think back to the garage. The wooden door on 2 sawhorses. The boxes of books. The wife in the next room who has decided that weather is the wrong question. Think back to the ranch in Cotilla, Texas. The boy on his knees next to a broken machine with Pop standing nearby, not offering the answer, waiting for the boy to find it himself. That summer, that habit of staying in contact with the problem until the problem yields, that belief built into him before he had language for it, that the gap between I do not know and I know is almost always smaller than it appears from the outside. This is the thing that built Amazon. Not the business plan in the car, not the warehouse algorithms, not the AWS architecture. Those came later. Those were built out of something older, something formed in a child kneeling on dry Texas ground, learning in the most direct possible way that the world responds to people who stay with it. The regret minimization framework is a sophisticated adult version of what Pop taught on the ranch. The question, what would the 80-year-old me think of this decision, is just a formalized way of saying you only get one life, so make sure you are spending it on the questions that matter to you, not the questions that are safe. Jeff Bezos became the wealthiest human being who has ever lived. He stepped down as Amazon CEO in 2021 after 27 years. The company he started in a cold garage with a door for a desk now employs more than 1.5 million people. It changed how almost every human being on Earth buys things, stores data, reads books, watches television, and receives packages. It changed what the word delivery means. It changed what the word warehouse means. It changed what the word cloud means. And it started with a number, 2,300%, that a 30-year-old man read on a Tuesday afternoon and could not put down. History will record the warehouses and the rockets, because Jeff Bezos eventually did build rockets too, a company called Blue Origin, because apparently one obsession is never enough. But history looks clean in the books. Up close, it looks different. Up close, it looks like a boy kneeling in the Texas dirt with a broken machine and no instructions. It looks like a couple in a car driving across the country with no guarantee. It looks like a man packing books on a cold concrete floor at 2 in the morning, laughing about knee pads. It looks like a stock price that fell 94% and a team that kept going anyway. And then, one more delivery. Part 10. Your question. One question before you go. What did you learn from this story? Write your answer in 5 sentences. Leave it below. There is no wrong answer. There is only what you actually think.